Welcome to the award-winning Real Estate Mortgage Shop, where home buyers, homeowners, and investors get practical mortgage and real estate insight straight from the pros with your host, Joe Garner.
Welcome to our internet listeners and podcast listeners across the 50 states. You're on Real Estate Mortgage Shop. I'm your host, Joe Garner. I'm a mortgage loan originator helping you get the right mortgage on your home purchase or refinance. I can make that mortgage process easy. Connect with me at jogarner.com. Our topic today, April 25th, 2026, how the new and improved reverse mortgage can change your retirement. Thank you to real estate attorneys Rob Drawn and Shelley Rothman of Griffin Clift Everton and Mashmeyer Law Firm for sponsoring this episode of Real Estate Mortgage Shop. For your home purchase or refinance, call Rob and Shelley to handle your title work, 901-752-1133. But for the first time in the Real Estate Mortgage Shop studio, we have a true and seasoned expert in reverse lending, my colleague, John Luddy, Senior Vice President of Reverse Lending at Supreme Lending. John, you have spent over 40 years, and by the way, he's not really physically in the studio. He's on the phone. He's out of Connecticut. But John, you have spent over 40 years in the mortgage business, and the last 25 years you have focused on giving clients the best service with reverse mortgages. You have so many client success stories to share, which I hope you will today. Take about a minute and a half and tell us about yourself, John, and what the type of services you offer at Supreme Lending.
Well, thank you so much for having me today. And really, I'm charged with helping our loan officers and assisting them and making sure that we always do right by our clients, making sure that we direct them to the reverse mortgage that is most appropriate to meet their specific need. The industry has just come alive with so many options, so many different mortgages out there, and we have to sift through them, understand them well so we could explain them simply and help our clients make a real prudent decision, because quite frankly, at our age, we can't afford to make a mistake. So we've got to get it right.
Well, John Luddy, he and I are colleagues at the same company, and I'm thrilled that he is really mentoring me and showing me some things I never knew that we could do with reverse mortgages, which I'm looking forward to working with some of our listeners, John. But, over the course of several years, I have talked with so many mortgage clients who worked every day so that one day they could retire and live life at a slower pace with no house payment and money left over for vacation, maybe even a cruise or some other items that are on their bucket list. But somehow life situations kept getting in their way. And some of these clients had investments that could have been reallocated to provide more income. A few owned their house free and clear or almost had their house paid off, but no sustainable options for gaining additional income. Well, Mrs. Opal Osborne was one of these clients. That's not her real name, of course. But let's start with Opal Osborne's story. Miss Osborne's husband of 50 years had passed away, and she didn't have much money left after her husband's death, but she owned her home, and it was worth, around $200,000 or so, free and clear. Her son called me after listening to Real Estate Mortgage Shop, and he told me his mother wanted desperately to continue living in her home, but she needed money to make some repairs, and after her husband passed away, she lost some of the income they had been enjoying. And she was going to be forced to move unless we could find a solution. And, after checking into some things, we were able to get Miss Osborne approved for a reverse mortgage where she could get part of the money up front to make those needed repairs that her home needed. And then she could receive an income each month from the reverse mortgage program that would help her live easier and even afford to have help come in and help her during the week some. The reverse mortgage was a godsend for Miss Osborne. But today, we are seeing so many improvements, and John Luddy is going to talk about some of these. We're seeing so many improvements with the government-backed reverse mortgage products, and these provide safeguards to the homeowners and their families. My colleague, John Luddy, is a wealth of knowledge and solutions for people who have not realized yet that the reverse mortgage is the key to getting quicker to the life they have always yearned to live. So what do you want to accomplish with your mortgage? I can help you with the right mortgage on a home purchase or refinance. Please tell me your story. Connect with me at jogarner.com. But John Luddy, you are the expert of experts when it comes to reverse mortgage lending. Please jump in and share some of your knowledge about how these reverse mortgages work and how some of our listeners can benefit from this type mortgage. John?
Well, let me just tease out your story. Your story sounds like so many of our clients. Someone that's worked hard, maintained their home, and then life changes. There's one thing we know for sure, that life is changing.
Absolutely.
The loss of a spouse. Yeah, the loss of a spouse is a key trigger to consider a reverse mortgage. When you lose a spouse, you're going to lose at least some Social Security, sometimes a pension. So
right.
That triggers a time. That's also a time when adult children come in to help mom and discover maybe dad was shuffling around credit cards and mom didn't even know about it. So the death of a spouse is a trigger. But in your client's case, they wanted to stay home. There's no place less expensive than being in your own home.
That's right.
There's no place where you're safer and happier. And you've been good to your home. And now it's time for your home to take care of you. And that's the way I think of it. You have a non-performing asset, that $200,000 asset that's costing you money because you have to pay for the taxes and the insurance. Turn that into cash flow and let that house first take care of itself, but also help take care of you.
Well, we've got about 4 more minutes before we go to advertising break, John. Let's get into some examples of that.
All right. So I've had clients use a reverse mortgage because we're a needs-based product. In the forward world, the regular mortgages, it's like pouring paper into the Dixie cup making machine, and you just make a load of Dixie cups, and they all seem about the same. Reverse mortgages, think about them as water for crystal. We meet with each client, and sometimes their families. We have a family Zoom, and we find out what's the need, what are we trying to fix, what are we trying to solve for, and then we can design that mortgage specifically to meet those needs, whether it's lump sum at the closing, a monthly check, or a line of credit. But each and every one of them is unique, and the program allows us to do that.
Yes, and we're going to talk more about that. But keep going. We've got another 3 minutes or so.
I remember my first reverse mortgage was a woman who actually lived around the corner from the home I grew up in, and she hadn't taken her dog to the vet in 2 years. She didn't even want to drive to the senior citizen center for lunch because she didn't want to wear out her tires.
Oh, wow.
And she was sitting on a modest home, and it was well cared for. And I was able to unlock that equity, and it would send me notes every once in a while, little thank you notes. And she said, I went and got my hair done at the hairdresser. I haven't done that in 2 years. And that's when I decided I got hit by lightning. I said, this is what I want to do. And I converted my forward business to reverse business because I thought, what an opportunity to be able to change people's lives in a positive way like this.
Well, we got about a minute. Can you talk about what you have to do to qualify? What are some of the major qualifying factors in getting a reverse mortgage, John?
Well, in a nutshell, the first thing is most of these programs are government insured, and they're for folks over 62. And maybe later in the show, we'll get into the nitty gritty about some of the changes, because you could have a spouse younger than that. But for now, 62 years is the age for the federal program. And you don't have to have a free and clear home. We'll use the proceeds to pay off your existing mortgage.
Right.
And then so we're going to, depending upon your age and the value of your home, determine how much we could lend you. And then we kind of figure out how you want to access that.
That's excellent information. I know you've got a lot more to share. We're getting ready to go to our advertising break, but you're on Real Estate Mortgage Shop. I'm your host, Joe Garner. I'm a mortgage loan originator, a colleague with John Luddy. What do you want to accomplish with your mortgage? I can make the mortgage process easy for you with the right mortgage. Connect with me today at jogarner.com. When we come back, we're going to be hearing more from John Luddy, Senior Vice President of Reverse Mortgage Lending with Supreme Lending, and our probate, trust, and estate attorney, Preston Wilson, will be joining us too. Hang in there. Stay tuned. We'll see you guys back in just a moment. Real Estate Mortgage Shop provides general information, not an offer to lend. Joe Garner, Talk Shop Real Estate Mortgage Shop, does not endorse 100% of the information covered on Real Estate Mortgage Shop. Consult with your certified advisors before acting on any information given on Real Estate Mortgage Shop. Joe Garner is a licensed mortgage loan officer, NMLS 757308, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Hi, this is Ed Hill with Masters Roofing, Memphis, Tennessee, and you're listening to Real Estate Mortgage Shop. Now back to your host, Joe Garner.
Okay. Well, you know, if you listen to us every week, it's time for Comic Queries, and you probably already know the answer to the riddles, but we're going to ask you anyway. So, John, you have a riddle for us.
I do. I come in a pair. I make you look intelligent, but I often go missing when you need to read a menu. What am I?
I know exactly, because I've had that happen. It's your reading glasses. All right. I think I got that one. John, I've got a riddle for you, though, and some of our listeners will probably guess, too. When is the best time to start thinking about your retirement?
Oh, boy, I hope he's not listening. You want to think about your retirement before your boss does.
Before your boss does. That's right. Okay, that's awesome. Well, today on Real Estate Mortgage Shop, we're talking about how the new and improved reverse mortgage can change your retirement. I'm your host, Joe Garner. I'm a mortgage loan officer, and for your home purchase or your mortgage refinance, you can brag about. Connect with me. I can help you find the right mortgage product and make that mortgage process easy. Call or text me, 901-482-0354, 901-482-0354 for your traditional mortgage, a special program, or an outside-of-the-box program. We have my colleague, John Luddy. He's a Senior Vice President of Reverse Mortgage Division at Supreme Lending on the line. John, say hello.
Hello, I'm here. Good morning.
Okay. Well, John, every week we do this thing called Talk Shop Tip, and Talk Shop's one of our major sponsors of the radio show. Talk Shop offers free networking and education to our local business and real estate community. And if you join Talk Shop as a sponsor, you can get a wide variety of marketing venues at below market prices. Go to shoppe.com. And today we have attorney Preston Wilson of Wampler, Carroll, Wilson, Sanderson Law Firm. He's here in the studio with us with a tip from his estate and trust, and he does all kinds of stuff. He does probate, estate planning, business law, bankruptcy, trust. Preston Wilson, so glad to have you come in today.
Good morning, Joe. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
What's our tip today from your desk?
I've been focusing on estate planning law for about 25 or 30 years. And one of the unfortunate things I sometimes hear is after someone has passed away and the children are trying to decide what happens to the real estate, one of them says, well, Mom said I was supposed to get. Unfortunately, oral dispositions of real estate don't work. Any disposition of real estate needs to be in writing, and specifically there needs to be either a will or a trust, or the beneficiary should be on the deed in some fashion. There are various ways that can work, but it needs to be in writing. And sometimes I hear people say that, the kids will take care of it. They know what I want to do. Not necessarily.
How do we contact you, Preston Wilson?
I am downtown. The phone number for my office is 523-1844, 523-1844.
We've got about 4.5 minutes. John Luddy, let's jump in and talk more about your expertise on reverse mortgages. And, I'd like to ask you something. How do we determine how much money a client qualifies to get from their reverse mortgage?
That's a great question, and I realize maybe we haven't even introduced what is a reverse mortgage. So I'll answer my own question first. A reverse mortgage is a way for seniors to access the equity in their home. And now to your question, how can they access it? How much? What we do is we do an appraisal on the property. So we use a federally approved appraiser that we're arm's length from, so it's independent appraisal to determine the value. And then based upon your age, we're going to determine what we call the principal limit. How much can you borrow? Then we're going to meet with you and your trusted advisor. Sometimes we meet with, your accountant or financial planner, your attorney, mostly your family, sometimes yourself, privately, and we determine how do you want to now access that money. Do you want to take money at the closing? Do you want to take a monthly check? Do you want to put money in a line of credit and use it as you need it? And you can do a combination of all of those things, all with one mortgage.
Wow. That's okay. Now, how does the client get to take the money? Well, you mentioned you could take it monthly, you could take it in a lump sum. And, you and I are working some loans right now where people are just getting a line of credit. And if they don't use that line of credit, and let's say they had a $200,000 reverse mortgage on a line of credit and they didn't use it, and let's say they were getting 6% variable rate, but let's say 6. So at the end of the year, they would have an additional $12,000, that's 6% of $200,000, available to pay like their property taxes, their insurance, maintenance fee, maybe go on a vacation or do some things on their bucket list. Is that how that works?
This is probably one of the greatest benefits of a reverse mortgage and one of the least understood, even by reverse mortgage specialists, people that think they're doing reverse mortgages, but you explained it perfectly. Unlike a traditional line of credit, there is no monthly payment. It can't be reduced. It doesn't start to amortize, meaning most regular lines of credit, after 10 years, you either have to pay them off or you start paying principal and interest. But in the first 10 years, with a reverse mortgage line of credit, there's no payment. But to your point, the money left in your line of credit grows. And we're not paying you interest. And this is very important. But it grows, and we increase your ability to borrow.
Right.
So
it's non-taxable because you're borrowing it, right?
All of this money is non-taxable. This is
We got about a minute,
income.
John. We got about a minute.
All right. You put in the money into the line of credit. You draw it out. you pay your taxes, your insurance, maybe your light bill. So now you have a renewable resource because it grows back again next year. It's like planting an apple orchard in your backyard. You didn't chop the tree down. You picked and harvested the apples. You bear it down to the 100. It grows back. You take that growth off, pay your taxes. Now the house is paying for itself.
Right. So you're listening to Real Estate Mortgage Shop. I'm Joe Garner, your host. I'm a mortgage officer. I want to help you on your home purchase, refinance, or reverse mortgage. Connect with me at jogarner.com. I've got John Luddy, my colleague from Supreme Lending, in the house, or on the phone. We have attorney Preston Wilson in the house, Preston Wilson Law. He's a state trust attorney. How do we contact you?
You can find me at prestonwilsonlaw.com.
Hey, Joe, in your book, Choosing the Best Mortgage, the Quickest Way to the Life You Want, you talk about when it's a good time to refinance a mortgage. So, when is a great time?
It's when it financially makes sense. And today, people are refinancing their mortgages to eliminate double-digit interest rates on their credit cards. Some are getting mortgages out of someone else's name. Some are just pulling cash out for other reasons.
For those strategies and more, order the book today on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. You'll be glad you did.
Hi, I'm Craig Meadows of Meadows Homes in Byhalia, Mississippi.
And I'm Karen Meadows of Meadows Homes and Halloran Realty Group, and you're listening to Real Estate Mortgage Shop.
Now back to your host, Joe Garner.
Okay, for those of you out there in Memphis, Tennessee, which is where we're broadcasting, we want to play a little game called Did You Know? And attorney Preston Wilson, I believe you have a question for us and some hints.
Joe, what is the name of a special club in Memphis and the surrounding area?
Give me some hints.
This club is open to residents of Memphis and the surrounding communities across West Tennessee who have hit that awe-inspiring 100-year birthday mark.
They're 100 years old then, at least.
Right. Need another hint?
I do.
Even every inductee into this special club will receive a personal letter from the mayor and a commemorative certificate recognizing their 100th birthday and their invaluable contributions to the community.
I already know the answer to this, but I'm wondering if some of our listeners do. It's the Memphis Century Club. And to nominate someone you know who is over 100 years old, Google Memphis Century Club, and you can get them recognized. So it's an awesome thing. But today on Real Estate Mortgage Shop, we're talking about how the new and improved reverse mortgage can change your retirement. And I'm Joe Garner. I'm a mortgage officer. Let me hear your story. Connect with me for your refinance or your home purchase at jogarner.com. We have my colleague, John Luddy. He's a senior vice president of our reverse mortgage division at Supreme Lending, on the phone all the way from Connecticut. And John, say hello to our listeners.
Hello all.
Well, we also have attorney Preston Wilson with Wampler, Carroll, Wilson & Sanderson Law Firm. He does estates and trust and probate and all that kind of thing. And how do we connect with you, Preston?
Good morning, Joe. My website is prestonwilsonlaw.com, and our firm phone number is 901-523-1844.
All right. Well, we're talking about reverse mortgages, and dreams come true for these clients who used a reverse mortgage. Now, the first one I'm going to tell, he didn't use a reverse mortgage at first, but I want to tell the story about Sid Stenner, and it's not his real name. He takes clever steps to safeguard his income and savings with the right mortgage loan. Now, for Sid, he had been living alone for the last several years and doing just fine on his fixed retirement income and the money that he makes in his small home-based business. Now, a few years ago, Sid needed money for his business, and he had taken out a bank loan secured on his home. The loan was quick, it was easy when he got it, but now the fixed rate term had turned into a variable interest rate. He had also, at that time, and some of our listeners may be able to relate with this, he had added some balances to his credit cards, which had a variable rate that had really gone up over the last few years. And it compounded interest that he was owing on those credit cards. Well, it seemed like a good time when I talked to Sid to convert the risky variable rate debt to a safer fixed rate mortgage. But how was he going to do that? We looked at several options. Now, Mr. Stenner at that time decided to refinance his home with a forward mortgage, John. He didn't do a reverse mortgage this go around, and he replaced his risky variable rate mortgage with an affordable fixed rate mortgage, okay? He saved several $100s a month from not having to pay those credit cards because he had rolled all that into his refinance mortgage. And he took some of that to try to get the mortgage paid down early because those credit cards, they were over. I mean, I don't know if you guys have checked your credit card interest lately, but some of those are like 25, 28, 29% interest.
Check.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Stenner's rate on his new mortgage would stay low, and he could pay off the mortgage early. But here's what he told me. He said, Joe, I'm going to work another 5 years if the good Lord lets me. And while I have both my retirement income and my business income, I'm going to pay that mortgage off early, get it down as low as possible. But when I retire, I think I may get a reverse mortgage, Joe. I want a reverse mortgage, but he didn't get it first go around, John. I want you to talk to that. He was going to wait till later to get his reverse mortgage. But, John, talk about Mr. Stenner, what maybe he could have done a few years ago.
Well, maybe he could have done a reverse mortgage. Maybe he owed too much on his forward mortgage and needed to continue to make those payments to buy it down. But
Right.
I think the real answer to that story is pick up the phone and call Joe today to see whether or not it's the appropriate time for you to move forward with a reverse mortgage. Because you're going to be able to guide them in all different types of loans. If a reverse mortgage isn't most appropriate today, it may be down the road, and we have to help them build that roadmap.
Well, kudos to Mr. Stenner, though, for thinking ahead and thinking about his retirement days and how to make that time easier and a whole lot more fun. But if you are interested in reducing your overall monthly debt with a home refinance, even though it may not be a reverse mortgage, it may just be a regular forward mortgage, maybe consolidate some of your higher cost debts, connect with me at 901-482-0354. I can help you find the right mortgage and make that process easy. Connect with me at jogarner.com. But real quick, I want to tell one more story that I learned so much from my clients, Preston and John. And I call this couple Carter and Claire Caldwell, the Caldwells, bounding over barriers to be with their grandbabies. Now, some of our listeners know about how motivated grandparents can be to be with their grandkids. Well, the Caldwells, they lived 1,000 miles away from the Memphis area. And they were very happy in their primary residence by the lake. They knew all their customers. They went to church. And they knew everybody. They did not want to move away from their primary residence. But their kids took the toddler-aged grandkids and moved to the Mid-South area over 1,000 miles away. The Caldwells called me and said, we want to buy a second home close to our grandkids. We don't want to live under the same roof with them because we want to spend all summer with the grandkids as they're growing up. We don't have the money down to pay for a second home, and we don't really have the income we can allot to paying a second home mortgage. Well, what they came up with, John, they got a reverse mortgage on their primary residence because they owned it pretty much free and clear. They got a reverse mortgage, took a lump sum out, and put it down on to buy the second home here in the Mid-South next to the grandkids. And then they took the rest of their reverse mortgage on an income so they could afford to make that second mortgage payment. So now, every summer, they're going to come and live in their second home, have the grandkids over to play in the backyard and do picnics and things. But that's how they used their reverse mortgage that was secured on their primary residence. Can you speak to that?
Joe, I think that's a brilliant story. That's really what it's like to be in the reverse mortgage industry, to be able to help clients like that brighten their retirement, their future. And I love that story. I love you.
We got 3 minutes, so I just want to bring home a fact that you can use your reverse mortgage to purchase a home. You know, like you could buy your primary residence using a reverse mortgage, right, John?
Absolutely. And we do a lot of reverse for purchases. And it becomes part of a total retirement plan. Let's suppose today it was 32 degrees this morning when I took my dog for a walk. Let's suppose my wife decides she wants to move closer to grandchildren, or maybe just to a warmer climate down where you are.
Yeah. Well, I want to point out something else, too, that you still own your home when you have a reverse mortgage. People have heard 100%. Horror stories from years ago. Well, the bank's going to take my home. You still own your home, and it's a non-recourse loan. Preston, you mentioned that.
Right, no personal liability.
So it doesn't even show up on your credit report. So, I mean, there's so many improvements. I just want to bring that home to our listeners, John, with the new government reverse mortgages that really safeguard you and your family who wants to take possession of that home later one day when you move away or you go to your final rewards.
As an estate planning tool, I'm learning more and more how valuable and flexible and estate reverse mortgages are.
Yes. John, we've got about another minute.
Flexibility really is an important factor in this because let's say I decide I want to move. I want to take the equity from my home now, but I'm still working. So I said, well, I'm going to use part of that equity as down payment, take a reverse mortgage for the difference. I'm still working. I still make a payment. That money reduces what I owe, but that money also goes in my line of credit.
Right.
And as we mentioned before, the line of credit grows. I stop working. I stop making those payments. My line of credit's still growing.
Right.
God
well, you're
home.
You're on Real Estate Mortgage Shop. I'm Joe Garner, your host. I'm a mortgage officer. Connect with me at jogarner.com. We're talking with John Luddy, my colleague with Supreme Lending in the Reverse Mortgage Division. Preston Wilson of Wilson Law.
Walker, Carroll, Wilson, and Sanderson.
How do we contact you?
523-1844.
All right. We'll see you guys back in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Rob Drawn.
And I'm Shelley Rothman of Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Mashmeyer Law Firm in Memphis, Tennessee.
You're listening to Real Estate Mortgage Shop.
And now back to your host, Joe Garner.
Okay, for our insights and inspirations. It is never too late to live your best life. She had worked hard her entire life, long days, tired hands, and years spent taking care of others. But in her mid-70s, something changed. The very thing she loved to do, fine, detailed needlework, was taken from her by arthritis. Most people, they would have slowed down, settled in, accepted that their best years were behind them. But not her. At 76 years old, she picked up a paintbrush for the very first time. Day after day, she painted simple scenes of country life, barns, fields, and memories that felt warm and familiar. Over the next 25 years, she created more than 1,000 paintings. At 78 years old, someone finally noticed. Her work spread across the country, then across the world. By the time she passed away at 101 years old, Grandma Moses had become one of the most celebrated artists of her time. Her paintings would go on to sell for over $1 million, and even a U.S. president said her work inspired a nation, all from a woman who didn't even begin until most people think it's too late. It's not too late for you to live in a house you own or use a reverse mortgage so that you can live your best life without having to make a mortgage payment. Call or text me today, 901-482-0355. 888-866-3654. I can assist you in getting the right mortgage, making the process easy. Today on Real Estate Mortgage Shop, we're talking about how the new and improved reverse mortgage can change your retirement. I'm your host. I'm a mortgage officer. I can help you with your home purchase, refinance. Connect with me, jogarner.com. My colleague, very respected expert in reverse mortgages, John Luddy, is on the phone from Connecticut. He's our Senior Vice President, Reverse Mortgage Division at Supreme Lending. Say hello, John.
Hello, everyone.
We also have attorney Preston Wilson with Wampler, Carroll, Wilson, and Sanderson Law Firm. How do we contact you, Preston?
My website is prestonwilsonlaw.com. That's one way, or our firm phone number is 901-523-1844.
Okay, that means it's time for our real estate tip of the week. Preston Wilson, our estate, trust, and probate attorney, what's our tip for today?
In line with today's discussion, the reverse mortgage is a way that someone, if someone is declining mentally and the family might be looking at putting mom in the nursing home, and they say, what do we do with the house so we can qualify for support? And if that's not handled right, it can be a real disaster.
Right, because they have to live in the home.
That's right. This reverse mortgage option would allow mom to stay in the home and obtain in-home care to come in and help take care of her while in her remaining days.
That is an excellent tip. And, if you're looking to put your estate planning together, like you said earlier, hope is not a plan. So you need to get with Preston Wilson to set up your will and estates. And we've got about 4.5 minutes left. John Luddy, you have a tip for us.
Well, I want to say to Attorney Wilson, that is the number one reason why people apply for a reverse mortgage, to fund in-house health care, to keep mom home and out of the dreaded health care facility. So excellent tip. My tip is this. This is kind of a big brother tip. Don't be your own worst enemy. Look in the mirror and stop procrastinating and call Joan today.
Yep.
Your number is 901-482-0354.
Or you can go to my name. My name's Joe Garner, and you can reach me at jogarner.com. But go ahead, John.
I was going to say, when you call Joe today, because so many of our seniors wait, they hope. That's the tip. Stop procrastinating.
Yes.
Get your things in order. You don't have to move forward today, but at least start the investigation.
Well, thank you, John Luddy and Attorney Preston Wilson. I want to say thank you to our sponsors. Talk Shop equips with education. They have a free networking and education every Wednesday here in Memphis, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Central, at the Independent Planning Group's Conference Room 110 at Clark Tower, 5100 Poplar Avenue here in Memphis on Wednesdays. Thank you to Ben Hunter, an outstanding financial professional at Independent Planning Group, for being Talk Shop's location sponsor. And this Wednesday, it's going to be, I want to say the 29th, I think it is, Wednesday, 2026, 9 a.m., it's going to be Pitch and Fix. You get a chance to stand up in a group and talk about your service and product that you offer, and offer a challenge that you're experiencing or an idea, and get feedback from your group. This is a very powerful exercise. Don't miss it on Wednesday. Thank you to Donna Roach of Hearthside Senior Living in Bartlett, Tennessee. Her number is 901-651-2503. My own family member has lived at Hearthside, loved it. The key to their work is the spirit of Hearthside Senior Living, is they listen not only with their ears but with their hearts. Hearthside Senior Living, a retirement community with assisted living designed with your health, independence, and happiness in mind for your loved one. Call Donna Roach, 901-651-2503. At Real Estate Mortgage Shop, we want to say, make your plan. Let's work your plan. If the deal works for you today, do it today. And we want to remind you to subscribe for our weekly podcast and show notes at jogarner.com. Here's a couple quotes I saw on Facebook the other day. One of them says this: "I run like the winded." And the other one is, "The older I get, the earlier it gets late." So we've got a minute and a half or so. John or Preston, do y'all have anything else you want to add?
I think John's point about not procrastinating, go on and get started, is a very valuable recommendation.
Anything you want to add, John?
Well, Attorney Wilson, one of the things that I think that we all should advocate for is to call you to get your order, your things in order, your affairs, because so many of our clients, their adult children say, "Geez, Dad is slipping. I better do a power of attorney or, be able to get some advice," and they wait too long.
And
that's a nightmare.
You can do a reverse mortgage if your home is in a trust too, right, John?
Absolutely. Many, many, many of our homes are in trust. Many of our clients use their adult children as their power of attorney to move forward. But yeah, absolutely. Homes are in trust. Just
all right.
Get a hold of Joe and get the trust to us.
You're on Real Estate Mortgage Shop. Thank you for listening. I'm Joe Garner, your host. I'm a mortgage officer. Connect with me at jogarner.com. We've been talking with my colleague John Luddy with the Reverse Mortgage Department, Supreme Lending. We have attorney Preston Wilson in the house. How do we contact you, Preston?
At prestonwilsonlaw.com or 523-1844.